Do you know me? Most people don't. That's why I carry The Observant Jew. This book is a collection of some of the best of my columns over the past 10 years. And normally, authors will go from place to place, do readings and book signings. So we're going to try something. We're going to do a virtual book reading right here, right now. The Observant Jew is a collection of ideas and insights. Sort of humor/inspiration. Imagine Andy Rooney finding religion. Page 6. Give me a sign. While driving down the highway one day, I saw a billboard that caught my attention. I think it was supposed to be a verse from the New Testament. I still haven't finished with the old one. But it had big 5-foot-high letters that read, "When you die, you will meet God." "Oh," said my passenger, "that's scary." I guess that was the point of it, to make people think about the fact that one day they will have to give a din v'cheshbon, an accounting for what they've done or not done in their lives. If you know that at the end of the day you have to face the boss, your workday will be very different. But of course, to me, there was more than this to this message. It sure is scary, I concurred. Can you imagine having to wait until you die to meet the Ribono Shel Olam, master of the world? Huh? What did I mean by that? I understand that to other nations of the world, religion is kind of a pass-fail course. Everything is true or false, all or nothing, and it only gets graded at the end of the test. But I don't believe Judaism is like that. I believe that life is a test, but an open book one, where you get feedback. When I took my test for smicha, my rabbinic ordination, I remembered the two Roshei Yeshiva, the heads of the yeshiva, sitting there taking turns, peppering me with questions. If I didn't know the answer right away, it was okay, as long as I knew where to look for it. If I was unclear in my response, they questioned me further. I think life is a lot like that. We all have challenges and choices, and we're expected to make mistakes. However, we are directed to constantly analyze ourselves to determine whether or not we're on the right track. When one gets an aliyah, he is supposed to search for meaning or a special message in it for him. When something unusual or painful happens, we are enjoined to review our actions and see what might have been the catalyst for our deserving this tribulation. In other words, we meet God all the time. There's always a reason and always a place to turn for guidance and clarification. If we're on the wrong track, we can ask for help. I remember a story I once heard, though some of the details escape me, so I made them up. A man was walking through the forest, enjoying nature. "Ah, God," he said, "what a masterpiece you have made in the world." As he walked further, he heard rushing water, and wishing to see more of God's handiwork, he headed towards the sound. "Master of the universe," he cried when he came to the cliff from whence he could see the water rushing past hundreds of feet below, "I see your signature in this place as clear as day." Suddenly, he heard a noise behind him. He turned to see a huge bear rearing up and ready to run at him. With a bear on one side and a cliff on the other, he was out of options. "Hashem," he cried out, "give me a sign!" There was a huge clap of thunder, and suspended in midair over the river were 4 fiery letters. They read J-U-M-P, jump. "Lord," he called, "give me another sign." We are visited by Hashem all the time, and He gives us His calling card to let us know He was there. Sometimes, though, we are uncomfortable with the message, and so we chalk it up to happenstance and go about our merry way as if nothing happened. That's when we're no different than the people who tell you you'll meet God when you die. You don't have to live with Him, you just have to die with Him. That was Bilam's prayer, after all, wasn't it? Tamos nafshi mos yesharim, let me die the death of the righteous. He wanted to die like a tzaddik as long as he didn't have to live like one. Now, I'm not trying to scare anyone or make you depressed that you'll never be good enough. On the contrary, you're quite fortunate that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be He, thinks you're important enough to send messages to. And if you think He doesn't think that, why do you think He arranged for you to read this article? Clearly, he thinks highly of you. So what does he expect? I think that like any other advertiser, God is happy if you get his messages even 5% of the time and recognize the value of his product. I think that when you see something unusual, or even something normal that catches your eye and makes you think, Hashem just wants you to take the time to ponder what he might have meant by it. You don't have to be a prophet to get messages from God every day. We do all the time. Where the prophecy comes in is with the interpretation. Nevi'im, prophets, didn't get words and phrases handed to them. They saw visions and interpreted the messages, with some help from Hashem, of course. We all see visions. We just may not recognize them for what they are. But with a little practice, we can start to see the signs and get the messages Hashem is sending us our way. But in case you're out of practice, and it wasn't clear enough before, here's your sign. Attention, dear reader. I will be talking to you every day. Keep your ears and eyes open, because I want to have a meaningful conversation with you. Love, God. This has been Jonathan Gordz, the Observant Jew.